Good evening, Raskin enjoyers. Hope you're doing alright, 'cause it's time for the 48-hour analysis. Basically, in this video, I'm going to look at all the skins in the current Rustore, compare them to previous Rustore skins to get a good idea in regards to, well, how much each of these skins are likely going to sell by next Thursday, and then knowing that, we'll then question, are these skins still holding up to being perfectly fine investments? Are there any potential problems that you need to be aware of? So sit back and relax. I'm going to start yapping. So first 24 hours of sales, and it's pretty easy to notice. Get a quick look at it, maybe pause the video, and then look over to here, and what do you see? Okay, yeah. The current week is looking quite a bit tamer. So, okay, you know what? That's not a problem. We've got some interesting collection continuations here, and potentially beginnings of a brand new collection. We'll talk more about that, don't you worry. But Sinotype Armor, 17,500 subscribers almost. If I could just quickly compare to the previous week, and just to remind you, I was a fair bit late, 28 hours. But Sinotype Scrap had over 20,000 subscribers, and I did say you could probably deduct like 1,000. Well, if it was 24 hours and it had 19,000 subscribers, it's still more than Armor. And I did kind of make a bit of a fuss like last week saying, well, you know what, maybe people don't care about Scrap that much. Based on what I'm looking at here, seems people don't care about Armor. Feel free to comment below. Do you honestly feel the need to own a clothing box and an Armor box? Do you reckon they should have been the same, like one box altogether? I mean, comment below, like, would it be attire, gear? I mean, I'm just surprised. That honestly looks like it could potentially become the second lowest selling skin out of the entire set. And just to quickly remind you, Scrap ended up being the second lowest, or at least close to. It was like very, very close to Meds. Or no, Ammo. That's it, Ammo. So anyway, we'll talk more about that in a bit, don't you worry. But like 24 hours after this, it hasn't really changed that much. It was a late Rustore. I should clarify, it was a late Rustore. It appeared at like 11 o'clock in London time. But still, the sales should be there. Maybe a lot of people wait until the very end. We'll see if that turns out that way. So, okay, cool. Corrupted Armor Double Door, looking pretty interesting. Very cool visual at night time. Consider watching my Rust rotation video to get a good look at that. But it's looking like it's going to, at least reach 20,000 subscribers. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. Small fuel box. I took one look at it and I thought, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. But then it came to my attention that perhaps this could be potentially a brand new storage collection for small boxes. And I've already given an idea to the skin creator. Oh, what might be happening with this? We'll talk more about that. Let's just say, if this does, develop into a brand new collection, I don't think it will be the third best selling skin by the end of the week. I'm pretty sure it will eclipse this, so we'll talk more about that in a bit. Night Demon hoodie and pants, well, they've sold just under 7,000 subscribers. Quick comparison, you'll notice, oh, hang on a minute, that's the wrong one. This is the right one. Yes, 2 weeks ago, we had Night Demon Tier 3. It sold a little bit more compared to Tier 3. Is it doomed? Are there problems? Don't worry, we'll talk about that in a bit. I should also point out, I know we've got a lot of fridge skins accepted so far this year, and there's more on the way. That is looking like it potentially might be the lowest selling fridge in all of 2025. Outer Planets Fridge. I've been waiting for that for quite a long time. I mentioned it a lot in my predictions video and in my Rust rotation video, but technically speaking, that has waited about 3 years to be accepted, and now it's ending up probably being one of the lowest selling skins. I'm shocked. Okay, cool. We'll talk about that in a bit, don't you worry. So, we've given it a good little insight. Let's now go over to the 48 hours of sales, and well, I haven't seen that much change. I'm quite surprised. And I should, just quickly clarify. Technically speaking, it's not 48 hours, it's like 50 hours. In fact, if I just quickly look above. Yeah, it's been about 50 hours. So, okay. There isn't that much difference compared to what it was 2 hours ago. But 24 hours after, of course, this. I mean, it's hardly changed. Okay. Definitely a lot tamer compared to the previous week. But what are all of these actually going to reach by Thursday? I can give you a decent estimate, but things might change at the very end of the week. After we do the abnormal barders, maybe people jump in and buy out a bunch of them. We also have to keep an eye out over the course of the weekend for any potential collection continuations. So let's get started. Sinotype Armor large box. And immediately it's just an easy comparison. We've been doing the same thing over the past few weeks. I just compared to previous skins that are accepted. So of course, as I mentioned, Sinotype Scrap from the previous week ended up becoming close to the second lowest selling skin. It just got a little bit more compared to ammo. But still, with that being like number, what, 9? 9 to be accepted? No, 8, 8, 8. It is kind of surprising, but also, do people even care enough to have a scrap box? I guess it makes sense. Armor, though, I did ask you earlier, do you even feel the need to have both a clothing box and an armor box? Now, I would have thought with clothing, primitive skins, and of course, you know, your hoodies and your pants, maybe even hazmat, but then armor, okay, now we're going to put the face mask in. Now, of course, we're going to put in, like, bone armor. No, but tier 2, tier 3, you get the idea. So, maybe that is affecting the sales here, considering clothing appeared before. But I'm giving you a fairly decent estimate. Looking at what I'm seeing here, are we going to have another late rush store next week? I'm giving you a bit of a rough estimate, and I'm thinking it's going to do between 35 to 40,000 subscribers. After seeing how the scrapbox behaved, you know, the previous week, I think this could still sell a little bit more, but it doesn't look like it's be selling as much as I would have originally thought. Honestly, I thought a lot more people would be really into an armor box. But I have been hearing words of like people saying, well, all the colours are similar. Too many yellows and oranges and reds. And I'm like, well, maybe. Okay, fair enough. So, okay. Sorry about my nose. It's just itchy. Considering what's happened over the past few weeks, by default, I would have expected it to do 40,000. But with the current progress, I think it's going to barely reach 40,000. So 35 to 40,000 subscribers is the estimate. Now, looking at the Corrupted Armor Double Door, if I could just quickly go back over to here, that had just almost 8,500 subscribers. But what did I compare to? Well, I looked around, made some considerations, but I thought maybe I could compare to the Polymer L96 and the Camouflage Jacket. They did have a little bit more sales compared to the Corrupted Armor Double Door. But if I could just quickly go take a look at them right now. So what was the complete sets rush store? It was the 22nd, if I can recall. Yep. Right. So, quite a lot of those skins are down in price now. Ooh. Where's my bloody tier 3? Where's my camouflage rose glove? I need my red sign gloves. Come on, please. Anyway, moving on. Focusing what we see here. Camouflage Jacket, that did almost 19,000 subscribers. Polymer L96 did 18,500 subscribers. So I made some considerations. I've been looking at the Corrupted Armor Double Door, and I thought, you know what? With its current progress, just to refresh here, I think that's going to do between 18 to 20,000 subscribers. And now you might question, okay then, well, is that good? Is that bad? If I were to compare to more recent Double Armor Door skins being accepted, Cobalt Jungle has gone down by about 20%. That did 25,000 subscribers. Not pretty. Late last year, we saw Pixel Armor Double Door. That only did 7,500 subscribers. Only slightly up though. The design of it wasn't very appealing. But it still worked out. Neon Bismuth Armor Double Door. Well, that right there had a big collection behind it. Well, fairly big. At the time, we kept seeing Neon Bismuth skins being accepted, and the prices just kept going up and up and up. There's a reason why it sells for $10 almost. That did 18,700. Early last year, Toxic Armor Double Door, a respectable 16,600 subscribers. It did dip initially for a while, because of course, you know, more skins here, Twitch drops as well. But it still recovered, and it did go up in price ever so nice. I believe at one point it was selling for around $4. Not huge gains, but still profitable. Looking at the Corrupted Armor Double Door on Skinlytics, unfortunately, it doesn't acknowledge that there's a collection here. So if I go to here, I go to SCMM, as you'll see, there's a whole collection there, but it's not in demand. Apparently, people don't like red. Yeah, so only the kilt is in the positive. Oh, and the boots, So I am kind of surprised by that. But judging by how most Armor Double Doors tend to behave, which of course you'll see all of them on SCMM like so, every single one of them is basically up in price. You're slightly down, but you did come out this year. And of course, we had 2 Twitch drops. Don't be surprised if we potentially see another Twitch drop. Do not be surprised. I think this would just end up like the skins you see here. I don't expect it to go all up to $10, but I won't be surprised if it comfortably reaches up to about $4 at some point. So, in terms of total sales potential, as I said, 18 to 20,000 subscribers is my guess. But it might sell a little bit less. Keep an eye out, right? The estimates aren't always perfect. Last week we had quite a lot of skins sell less than expected, so okay, just want to clarify. And now we talk about Small Fuel Box. And I'm very interested to see what happens next. It doesn't glow, but it's got a very cool, like, awesome sort of design. It literally looks like a fuel can. So if that did about just under 8,000 subscribers, what did I compare to? Well, I just went straight to the previous week, and I looked at the temple sheet metal door, and I thought, you know what, close enough, but maybe I'll add a little bit more based on what I see what this sold. So if I could just quickly go to here we are. Let's go to the previous week, sheet metal door. So you did just about 14,500 subscribers. Now I looked at the small box. It's currently sitting here at 10,600, almost 10,700. And I gave it a 4. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll bump it up to about 15 to 17,000 subscribers. But I also think it could potentially go up even higher. This is where I have to talk about the situation where I've looked at this and I thought, you know what if the skin creator, who hasn't actually made that many skins, if I could just clarify, like all he has at the moment is this. So he hasn't made that many skins. He has a very cool looking design. People like it, selling nicely for best selling skin. I was like, what if you were to make a small box collection? Now I have been thinking about this for quite some time, because ever since we saw Sinotype, one of my biggest worries was what happens if we see another storage collection after this, like pretty quickly. And in the past we have seen 2 storage collections appear. But if we end up with a small box collection, which is still a storage collection, I mean, that's fine. That honestly shouldn't negatively affect Sinotype. And now you're going to sit there and say, well, okay, has the skin creator said anything? Yes, he has. Because I said something. On my stream, Glassholio, he asked, hey, what are your thoughts? Do you reckon you could do a small box collection? And the skin creator's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Some people offered their ideas. And, well, I stepped in. Remember Neon Storages? I'm sure you do. We never got the cards box. And to this day, I'm so sad. It's quite literally incomplete. Why don't we see it and complete the sets anyway? I just threw down the idea. Why not do a very nice thematic pack of playing cards, but it's for your green, your blue, and your red key cards. Now, with the way I kind of wrote it out, I hope it doesn't do a green card box, a blue card box, and a red card box. No. Do all 3. Do it literally like a pack of cards. I'm talking like this. So if I could have write this all down, wasn't prepared to show this, but you know what I'm talking about. Ace, spades, hearts, diamonds. I'm talking about literally a pack of playing cards. If you played Balatro, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. That's a bit of a silly example. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people played Balatro. Have you beaten every deck, and have you got gold chips and all the cards? Focus, hedge, focus. All right, anyway. So, based on what I'm seeing here, all the jokers I meant. Based on what I'm saying here, it seems he's eager to give it a shot. Don't know if he's going to get it submitted before, Tuesday. Maybe he might need to take some time. But if we do see signs of a potential small box collection, much like what happened when we saw the very first Sinotype large box, that being firearms, massive anticipation, tons of hype. But evidently what happened there is it did work out quite nicely. And at one point, just a good few weeks ago, that was pushing up to $30. But it was a bit of a buyout. It's a bit of a pump. So, okay, fair enough. So there's a lot of potential behind you, and I've accidentally highlighted you, but I'm focusing you. Yeah. We'll see what appears over the course of this weekend. Things are looking very, very, very interesting. But I haven't seen the continuation yet. Still technically Saturday, Sunday, so yeah, most skins appear on Monday, so be prepared. Cool. Night Demon, hoodie and pants. Sorry, I was looking at the sleeping bag for a minute. Well, actually, technically speaking, it would be the hoodie and pants and the sleeping bag, because they have been selling very similar amounts ever since they first appeared. So just under 7,000 subscribers, like I said. And I did do the comparison to the tier 3, and I was like, the hoodie and pants, they're saying a little bit more. I can't compare to these. So I looked around, I considered a better option to compare to, and honestly, it looks like Bloody Pants is the option. Just about 7,000 subscribers. So, okay, fair enough. Let's just hop over to here, go to the Complete Sets Restore. And what do we see? It did 14,600 subscribers. Okay, fair enough. Now, if we could just quickly look at the current sales, which you can see over here in Skinlytics. Quick refresh. Are we up to date? Yes, we are. So I'm looking at the hoodie. I'm looking at the pants. And I'm also looking at the sleeping bag. Obviously, the hoodie is selling a little bit more compared to the pants, but I won't worry too much. They should still sell for around the same price. When we saw these appear, the main thing I anticipated is that we're going to see tier 2 or boots and gloves. Or will the skin creator, who is Little Ranger, one of the most prolific skin creators in all of Rust with tons of collections, is he going to take a break and do something else, and then next week we'll see the continuation instead? I did bring that up. Now, if I could also just quickly show you this. Wow, it doesn't notice it as a collection. Okay, well, let's go over to here to Rust Help. Night Demon. Tier 3 at one point was pushing up to $6. Then it went down to $4. Now it's back up to around $5, it seems. I said, if this matches up to that, that'd be nice. But comparing to the bloody pants, I am rolling with the expectation, and of course, with the, acknowledging the current sales, I think the hoodie and pants are likely going to do between 14 to 16,000 subscribers. And you might sit there and say, hang on a minute, isn't that a little bit more compared to what we see here? Yes. But it's only a little bit more. Now, chances are it might slow down, and you'll see these probably reach up to 14,000 subscribers. That would match up quite nicely with the face mask. That would be quite a bit better. I wouldn't complain too much about that. But initially, maybe it might have some issues because it sold just a little bit more compared to that. But if we see boots to gloves or, tier 2, doesn't matter. That was still spike and price. Exactly like this did when this appeared. So I'm still confident that this can work out nicely. I'm not seeing ridiculous excessive sales. That's looking fine, okay? So if this does end up with like 15,000 subscribers, don't panic. Chestplate might look a little bit more interesting though, considering it sold a little bit less. And based on what you see of the difference in sales here, it's not too surprising to see that one's a little bit more up in price. There's only so many of these to go around, quite a bit more of these. It's not too surprising that that's doing a little bit better. So, okay, cool. So Night Demon hoodie and pants. You seem okay with that amount of sales. But what about the Funerary sleeping bag? Now, obviously, if you watch my Rust rotation video, I was making jokes. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what everybody wanted to see. The sleeping bag. Definitely not the tier 3. Just talking about the Night Demon hoodie and pants. If you want to see a clear example of problems with too many sales compared to the previous iteration, like, look at this. Hoodie and pants. Just about 11,000 subscribers there. But last week, 7 days of these skins in the Rust store, tier 2 did almost 30,000 subscribers. Almost 3 times as many sales compared to that. And if we don't see that, if we don't see the tier 3 ever being accepted, oh my, that tier 2 is not going to work out very nicely. But the collection is progressing. It's doing okay. But the first thing I did when I looked at this was I did some comparisons to the previous sleeping bags. Because one thing you notice is, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't the only black sleeping bag we've received this year. So night sleeping bag, you're currently about $1.50, and black diamond sleeping bag, you're about evens. $2, $2.45, currently priced at, well, let's just see. Are you still $1.44? Skinnalytics isn't always up to date. Yeah, okay, one sale must have happened earlier. So right now, as you can see, it's $1.47. And of course, when we look at the black diamond sleeping bag, is it actually accurate? And it looks like it was, yeah, it was accurate there. So I just can't help but assume people probably prefer the black diamond bag and maybe the night bag. But with the collection, that is Funerary, working out quite all right at the moment, I kind of get the feeling it actually might keep its interest for now. But as time goes on, if Funerary as a whole fails to, keep people's attention, of course there's going to be more issues and problems and blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. I'm not that keen with this, to be honest with you. I've seen it in game, again, consider watching my Rust rotation video. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think everybody's going to go super crazy for a sleeping bag wrapped in, bullets. Quite literally, it's a bandolier. It doesn't glow, which might be a bit of a concern, but the previous 2 black sleeping bags, they didn't glow. They're doing okay, but they're not exactly insanely up in profit at the moment. So yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with a barter here. 14 to 16,000 subscribers. That is kind of matching up quite similar to the amount of sales the Black Diamond and the Night Sleeping Bag did. So yeah, it doesn't really stand out that much compared to those two. So I don't really think people would, be that bothered. Okay, so next up, I have to talk about these 2 weapons. But as I looked over to here earlier, I noticed that the fridge here, the fridge was selling similar to these 2, but now there is a bit of a distance. But I still will pair them up. I get the feeling that the weapons might be the upper end and the fridge lower end. So if I was to compare to anything, what's the best option I have? Well, I'm probably going to compare to the some of the skins I see here and complete the sets. All of these, they did around 5,000 subscribers almost, and over to here you can see the same thing, just under 5,000 and 4,500. So okay, we've got a decent thing to compare to. Let's now go over to here, look at the complete sets Rust store, and if we just get a good general gist of all these skins here, Well, that did 10,600 subscribers. Then it goes to just about 9,000 subscribers, all the way down to about 8,000 subscribers. Okay, that's looking pretty cool, all of these here. So if I were to say 8 to 11,000 subscribers for the weapons, with the Toxic Wolf M39, I am anticipating another M39 skin to be accepted the next Rustor and the Rustor after that. M39 is the focused item of the month. With August, we had the Salvage Dice pick, 4 skins accepted. Last month, for August, no, July was Salvage Dice pick, August was Wooden Double Doors, 4 skins accepted. Well, I'm expecting M39s to get 4 skins accepted. And of course, with last week, we had the Arctic Skull M39, sold quite a lot, 23,000 subscribers almost. That is also starting to struggle. There was always the question of how often do you even use an M39? And of course, if we were to compare to recent M39 sales, this here only did about just over 10,000 subscribers, slightly in the positive. This right here, this did just under 12,000 subscribers, slightly in the positive. Well, Toxic Wolf, if you could potentially go all the way up to 11,000 subscribers, maybe you might actually be okay. But as you might have noticed, the profit was only slightly up. So you are going to have to stick with doing a buy order just to be able to make some profit with this. And of course, don't forget, you'll sit there and say, okay, but is Toxic Wolf collection in demand? Not really. Some of these skins have actually started to bump up a bit with the arrival of the M39, but it's not perfect, right? So with more competition potential in the way, I think that might be struggling. Smart Barter is going to be the way for that. So, all right, we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. We'll do the abnormal barders. Now, the PTNT AK-47, $2.49. It's not exactly a super standout skin, is it? Not to sound mean, but it's definitely a very grounded approach. And now you will be aware that we have another Twitch Drop AK-47 on the horizon. Like very soon, we're going to see this being available for free. You spend 2 hours of your time to watch a streamer, and you can end up getting an anime catgirl made AK-47. Did you see any anime catgirl mates on the other skin here? No. Is this the measurement we're using? Yes. So anyway, it doesn't stand out that much. And one thing I should point out, like for the past month, we haven't seen a single AK-47 skin being accepted. I'm genuinely surprised. But do you remember when we got the Dragon Totem AK-47? And then all these Twitch drops appeared. Yeah, that just crashed and burned. I don't expect this to maintain any interest. I don't expect it to retain its price. I worry for it. Can't help but assume with the similar behaviour potential with the previous Twitch drops, yeah, this is probably going to get lost in the shuffle. So, sorry to say. But this Outer Planets fridge right here, $2.49. Potentially, it could maybe only end up with about 8,000 subscribers. I am genuinely surprised by this. Like, I waited almost 3 years to this, to see this actually be accepted. Resubmission after resubmission. Here it is. This whole collection was very in demand a good few years back. But of course, as time went on, multiple collections built up or whatnot. I would say it's still somewhat okay. It's still somewhat in demand, but we have had a lot of fridges this year. There are more on the way. Oh, yes, there are. So if I could just quickly grab this, go over to here. Yep. Once it says it's been waiting since 2024, previous versions have been waiting since 2022. If I just quickly look at fridge, you might notice, oh, hang on a minute, what's that? Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. So, record-breaking amount of fridges, with more fridges on the way, and with Halloween and Christmas on the horizon, more fridges on the way, potentially. I'm sitting here, I'm scratching my head, I'm thinking, what do I do? 8,000 subscribers, though, could lead to that being one of the lowest selling skins out of all the fridges this year. The record goes to Easter Neon Fridge, which only did 5,200. Again, nobody really cared about Easter. But again, with the sheer lack of sales led to a sheer lack of listings, which has now led to that actually being the positive very, very nicely. Well, to be honest with you, in my Rust rotation, it does look very nice. I showcased that. It does look like a very cool looking RGB light PC. It's kind of looking like a rig. It looks pretty funny. I think, if we ended up with only 8,000 subscribers, it actually might be doing pretty good. But there's still potential. It could probably reach up to about 10,000 subscribers. And if you compare to all these other fridges, then it probably wouldn't be that interesting anymore, considering the sales. So we'll see how it reaches, how far it reaches by the time we look at it on Wednesday night. But I'm kind of expecting it to probably get closer to 10,000 subscribers. We'll see. So best of luck to the fridge. And now we have the copper boots. And again, I'm going to go back to the Complete the Sets Rust store because I have a very good thing to compare to. I looked at the boots, only 3,500 subscribers almost. But if I go back over to here, I remember seeing the opulent road sign gloves, and they had about 3,300 subscribers. So I feel like that's probably close enough in terms of the best thing we can compare to. And that did just under 7,000 subscribers. So okay, looking at that, and hopping back over to here and looking at the total sales that I see here, I do think it's going to probably do between 6,000 to 7,000 subscribers. Copper boots, part of the copper collection. It is going to be the lowest selling skin at the whole the whole entire set. More specifically, with the clothing and armor, if this remains in demand, if people truly want to dress up as a British policeman with all the high vis colours and whatnot, I mean, role players, I'm sure they'd like it. I get the feeling it probably will be doing quite all right. Is it going to be insanely profitable? That's something I can't answer to you because I'm not sure. It's also not abnormal, I should clarify that, yeah. So Wednesday night, if we look at this and it's only got like barely 6,000 subscribers, probably couldn't hurt to go grab some. It's actually looking to be a pretty interesting investment. Again, copper collection's kind of been like 50-50. Sometimes the skins are in the positive, sometimes they're not. But at the moment, they're doing very good. But maybe the boots arriving is what caused that. So we'll see how it goes. But just remember, these skins sell between 20 to 30,000 subscribers. The redstone gloves, only 12,000. Currently, right now, it's almost $5. But you see here, these are barely in the positive. Is this going to end up like that? Or at least half as good as that? That's fine, because that'll still be nicely profitable. So we'll see. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday night when we do the abnormal bars and, of course, discuss prices for all the skins. So, okay, that was pretty good. We got through all that decently enough. I think we're just about 25 minutes, so okay. Is there anything else I should discuss? I have to talk about the Twitch drops, don't I? Because more have, in fact, appeared. How many people do you reckon are going to appreciate this? This pretty much all-white backpack. Absolutely free. I mean, that's looking pretty good. I know some of you are going to bring up No Mercy backpack. That is whiter. Also, it kind of looks like Among Us. Anyway, we also know two of the generic drops. So we've got a locker and a fridge. We've had tons of lockers and fridges this year, but hey, Rustoria wants it, so cool. That is expected to be the generic drops for the upcoming Rust Kingdoms event that's taking place next week between September 20 to the 30th. So, okay, more skins are in fact appearing, but these Twitch drops, once I know all of them are out, or at least uploaded, of course, I will be showcasing every single Twitch drop skin in a lovely video just for you, so keep an eye out. I've already made some short videos showcasing some of them. I've got to be honest with you, I've got to go put on my full whiteout set and see if that blends in nicely with it. And I can't help but assume, yes, it will. Some of these skins might be changed a little bit more. I'm aware of an M249 that some people have already posted videos of on YouTube. It's been changed. So this is what happens when some people don't wait and be patient a little bit. And this is why I always wait it out until I know everything's finished. So, okay, cool. Interesting Twitch drops on the horizon. And, of course, we've already mentioned it. I put up a video talking about it. There's a lot of changes being proposed for October. But something we've noticed quite a lot of as well. Surveys on the PlayRust Twitter. If I was to just quickly go over to here, type in PlayRust, and here you go. Loads of things are starting to appear. You might have noticed that they've been putting out surveys very recently discussing, well, what would you like to see become skinnable next? The survey right there. A month ago, in early August, we saw one talking about weapons. What weapons would you like to see become skinnable? And of course, early September, we now have tools. Next month, the month after, maybe they'll talk about clothing armor, maybe they'll talk about deplorables. But one thing we have in fact noticed is that certain commits have been posted, and I might have reacted to them. So as we scroll down over to here, why have they suddenly decided to make some changes to the HMLMG texture and the UVs? Why have they suddenly decided to make some changes to the bit UVs and texture? Very interesting indeed. Perhaps it might be because they're preparing them to become skinnable. Ooh, we'll see. So many people have been begging for a race car bed. It wouldn't be a bad idea for a Twitch drop for like Rust's birthday. I think a lot of people would greatly appreciate that. So other things I need to mention. Apparently volcanoes have been referenced in the commits. I have seen it myself. but like well over a year ago, there's mentions of like volcano calderas, which is like a semi-inactive volcano with like a lake in it. I'm not sure what's going on, but we are aware that lava is also in the game. Is this going to be for the upcoming, what's the word to say? Naval update. October Force White, the update, is expected to be a balancing update. Lots of monuments going to have their tools changed in terms of like what is inside all of the loot boxes and whatnot. That's all going to be changed. You can probably build a little bit closer to some of them. That's also been mentioned. Again, if you go over to Twitter, no, not Twitter, the commits. I've mentioned it on Twitter. You'll see a lot of people have noticed that Alistair's constantly talking about making some changes. And if we could just quickly go over to here, Hedge didn't have it ready. Hedge is useless. There you go, meta shift. Right there, it's mentioning about loot getting changed, both in Harbour, depending where they're spawned and whatnot. Same things happen to Satellite. There's some joke things being mentioned here, don't worry. But yeah, interesting changes. But I'm still anticipating, are they going to make any weapon changes? And with the proposed idea, with bringing back blueprints just to be able to make a tier 2 and a tier 3 workbench, could that impact some of the values of certain skins? Because, well, it might be hard to get a tier 2 and a tier 3, oh dear. But with people using a tier 1 workbench, maybe they're going to appreciate the weapons that a whole lot more, aka the revolver. Maybe crossbows and bows would be appreciated more. And if all of a whole lot more usage, perhaps the skins for them might have a bit of an increased amount of demand. Definitely something to consider. So if we don't see all the Twitch drop being uploaded by Tuesday, I'll have a video discussing what could potentially happen based on what we see actually being implemented with the balancing update next month. But I'm also kind of like expecting that we potentially might be seeing the weapons being saved for last. We still have 2 weeks to go until the October Force White. Keep an eye on the commits. Keep an eye on what the devs are working on. We'll see what happens next, okay? So, okay, that's interesting. But if we do see weapon buffs or weapon nerfs, depending if it's buffed or nerfed, of course that's going to have an impact. Demand for skins will go up or down. Something that was always reliable and always appreciated suddenly is rubbish. No one's going to want to use it anymore, and therefore no justification to have skins for it. No justification to pay that much for them. There's suddenly like, let's say, I don't know, maybe the custom SMG suddenly becomes a whole lot better. Of course, loads of people are going to want to get skins for it. Of course, the prices will improve. But as you'd know, it's not exactly the most best of weapons, and you can easily see that with the prices of all the skins. Oh, so much negativity. Oh dear. So, okay, cool. We got that all nice and understood. That's nice. So is there anything else to discuss? Well, I've already pointed out the brand new video I uploaded today. There isn't really, there's not that much else to say. One thing I could mention, just to repeat this one more time, Rust Kingdoms between the 20th to the 30th. Keep an eye out. It's an event that will be taking place on Twitch, and loads of very, very, very nice Twitch drops will be released for absolutely free. All you have to do is just watch them for 2 hours of your time, and you can get some awesome looking skins. Based on what you've already seen today, what I showcased to you with the new submissions, I think you're going to be very happy with what you're about to get. Now don't forget, all the estimates for sales are in the description. It's all written down. And let's see if the sales improve, or let's see if it just stays the way it is, and it remains being a fairly calm, quiet week. We shall see. Thank you very much for watching the video. I greatly appreciate it. Best of luck to each and every single one of you. Let's see how things pan out.